Hello Wolfpack, welcome back to another Bitcoin video. Today we're going to be debunking a Crypto Crew University video he did the other day. A lot of people have recommended I watch that video. He makes a bunch of claims on Bitcoin. A lot of them I disagree with, some of them I slightly agree with. But before we get into that, quickly let's delve into the short term. I can't say we were expecting this on the short-term time frame. I mean, we had a descending broadening wedge with bullish RSI divergence. That's a bullish pattern. Broke it to downside, though, unexpectedly. I guess it happens. But, I mean, on the long term and the medium term, we can expect this for sure, right? We've said over and time again, we're going down to 17.5K for a retest. And that's why our buying plan reflects that. So don't stress too much about the short term right now. It's just following the plan. This shouldn't be anything that people didn't expect. This is really, stuff that is really predictable, I think. A lot of people disagree with me on that recently, but I 100% think this is a very predictable move. And this is our buying plan on the screen right now. So if you're not familiar with the buying plan, pause the video, take a look at that, and that should cover all bases for you there. But we'll talk about that tomorrow, I think, because, I don't see us, doing anything major until that point. I mean, look, the next major thing that can happen is a drop below 17.5K, and I don't think that's going to happen in the next 24 hours. I'm either going to be drastically wrong about that, in which case, wow, that's crazy price action, but I don't think I will, right? So we'll talk about that tomorrow. Just as expected right now, heading downwards towards that support zone. Everything's going as planned. Shouldn't be much of a surprise. So, okay, Crypto Crew University. He made a video yesterday, or maybe the day before, I'm not sure, called The Ugly Reality of the Bitcoin Bottom, or something regarding that. Now, he made a few claims in that video, and they're very important claims. Even if you don't know what the video is, I think you should stick around, because this is actually very important information. It's very interesting information that I haven't actually heard anyone talk about before him, okay? And a lot of people are pretty blown away by the information. They asked me to make this video, and hence I'm making it now. So, he made a claim. He said that Bitcoin will top out in the next bull market in May 2025, okay? And he said it will top out around 90,000. All right, so May 2025, 90,000. Let's go ahead and actually put a square where that is in May 2025. So that's around here at 90,000. Let's move it down. It's around here. So that's where he thinks it's going to top out, right? Let's just put a very broad square. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's put a broad square, give him a few months, give or take. That's where the next bull market top will be, in his opinion. Now, I categorically disagree with this, okay? I disagree with this on many levels, okay? But there are some claims he makes that are undeniable. There are some claims he makes that are based on objective facts, and we need to look into those claims before we can even debunk them, okay? So, what does he say? He says this, okay? So, he says, essentially, in every single major run Bitcoin has, okay? So, let's go ahead and list out some major runs. Now, I might get the percentages roughly wrong. Just bear with me. I'm not sitting here and doing it precisely. I'm just getting the main fundamental points out. So we had a 360,000% gain in 2011. Now, what we could do, and this is his claim. So if we take 360,000 roughly, right, again, not trying to get it perfect, and divide it by 5.3, we get the number 67,000, okay, roughly 67,000. Now, if we go to the next major run on Bitcoin and measure how big that move was, guess what? It was around 67,000, right? That's pretty crazy. Now, I'm saying roughly, I'm not getting numbers precise, but if I did it correctly, it'd be very, very close to 67,000, right? Not 62,000, you get the point. So let's go ahead and say, okay, what about 62,000 divided by 5.3? And we can see that gives us around 11,000 to 12,000, okay? So if we take the next run on Bitcoin and we measure it out, lo and behold, 12,000. Now, this is already a convincing trend, right? Because taking that very specific number, 5.3, and taking what would seem to be on paper random numbers, with such large, percentage gains between bottoms and tops, and dividing it by 5.3, and it predicts for next run, that's a pretty intense thing. And guess what? It does it again. So we take that number we got and we divide it by 5.3 once more. That's 2,200. And if we measure from a 2018 bear market to the top of the 2021 cycle, guess what? 2,200 roughly. So we have now a trend on Bitcoin. We have a trend where Bitcoin, if you take the measured move from the bottom of a move to the top of a move in every single major move Bitcoin has had in its price history, and divided by 5.3, it predicts the percentage gain in the next move. So now what we could do, right, theoretically, is we could take this number, which of course is our last move, and we could divide that by 5.3, and we could predict how big the future move could be. That's going to be 416%, okay? So let's say, for example, that the bottom is in on Bitcoin at 17.5K, and let's add 416% to that, right? And it's going to take us roughly, again, this is very rough but let's just say that. It's going to take us roughly to 90,000, basically roughly to 90,000, okay? He did it a bit more precise, but that's essentially the claim, right? So that's divided by 5.3 equals 416%, takes us roughly to that 90,000 level, and he's expecting that to be in May 2025 at that 90,000 level. So let's go ahead and make that yellow square a bit bigger, and then we can start to look into some of the claims he's making here. Okay, so the first claim I want to debunk, okay, because he made a claim that it's going to top out in May 2025. Now, I disagree with that entirely, and I think that's the obvious thing to disagree with. I think that's actually, he says a lot in his video, it's based on objective data, and yes, the percentage gain divided by 5.3 is definitely an objective data, but the claim that it's going to be May 2025, in my opinion, it has no basis in reality. It has no basis in what the data actually suggests. What the data actually suggests, and I'll bring it up now, what the data actually suggests is this, right? We have a date range trend on Bitcoin, right? This is the date range trend on Bitcoin. So he used a little fraction of it. He took the days between bottom and top, which is 1,064, sorry, and he extrapolated that across. But what he fails to understand is that there's way more to it than just that one data point. There's actually 4 separate data points that help us predict what the next bull market top is going to be. And we can see that all you need to do is look at the screen for 2 seconds, right? And you realize that, hey, he used 1 data point, I used 3 data points, and my 3 data points point to October 2025 rather than May 2025. And the data points I use are very, very simple, right? There's 1,400 days from top to top between cycles. For example, that was the case in 2013 to 2017, and that was the case in 2017 to 2021. And if we use 1,400 days again, that would be the case in November 2021 to October 2025. And then again, there's, 1,064 days exactly from bottom to top, okay? And we extrapolated that across, and assuming the bottom is going to be in November, right? That's just an assumption. Assuming it's in November, it moves across to around October 2025. Now, the reason why he came up with a incorrect data point there is because he's assuming that the bottom was actually here in June. However, as we know by the 4-year cycle theory, that's incredibly unlikely. Okay, that's incredibly unlikely as per the 4-year cycle theory. Now, a retest of the low, even if we see a double bottom formation, what typically happens on double bottom formations is that we see a double bottom formation, we see the second wick go down further than the first wick, hence placing the bottom. Now, if the 4-year cycle theory is to remain valid, which is a 12-year trend, which I trust a lot more than someone's random speculation about where the bottom was in June, right? No offense to him. Then we would be seeing a bottom actually in October 2025. Okay, so let's get that out of the way. October 2025. Much more likely than his prediction of May 2025. In fact, his May 2025 prediction would be so unrealistic because it would actually partially invalidate the 4-year cycle theory itself. And I'm sorry, I don't trust Crypto Crew University's opinion on Bitcoin, which is based on his speculation about where the bottom is, not based on any trends, more than I trust the 10-year 4-year cycle theory about where the top will be in the next cycle. So 100% disagree with the date range about it. And now we can get into the price range, because I think the date range obviously is a big part of it, but it's not necessarily a major part. The main part people are concerned about, of course, is the price, the 90,000 target. Now, okay, here's the thing about that price target. Okay, it makes sense. Okay, it makes sense statistically speaking, and I can't actually debate it statistically speaking because there's nothing I can debate. He's identified a clear pattern. The clear pattern is 5.3 divided by 5.3 each major move, and it clearly indicates that we'd be seeing a 411% move. Now, my problem with this is as follows, okay? And I'll diagram it out. If we go ahead and say that Bitcoin is going to do that, and it's going to go to 90,000, it's going to top out at 90,000, what next, right? What next? Because if we go again, this is my point of this is this. It's an unsustainable trend. It's a trend, and we can't deny it, but it's an unsustainable trend that doesn't make sense. Because if, divided by 5.3, well, what if we divide 411% by 5.3? Are you assuming then that the next cycle after that, we would see a 77% gain on Bitcoin, right? And that's not even from the top. That's from the lows, right? So say, for example, we've already dropped 80% in this bear market. We dropped 80% in 2013, 80% in 2018, and 80% in this bear market. That's a trend, okay? So let's say we go to 90,000 on Bitcoin, and the trend continues. We drop 80% again. We are hence on Bitcoin back to 18K, okay? Therefore, we would bottom out as per his prediction, and as per his clear fondness of trends, we would bottom out at 18K where we are right now, okay? And then take 411% divided by 5.3, we would have a 77% gain in the next bull market. And as his believer in the 4-year cycle theory, he would believe the next bull market after 2025 would be all the way in 2029. Therefore, he would believe, as per his own analysis, this isn't my opinion, this is his analysis, I'm just extending his analysis, he would believe that in 2029 or 2030, whatever it may be, we would see a bull market top at 33,000 on Bitcoin. Now, you can understand how this gets a little bit iffy and it gets a little bit hard to believe as an analyst. He's essentially assuming, as per believing in this trend. Now, it looks good on paper for this next cycle. However, if he continues believing in this trend, which he would have to do, as it's a date range trend that he's predicted, okay? If he continues believing in this trend, he would then believe, he would have to believe, this is his obligation. He has to be consistent with his logic, and he has to then believe that in the next cycle after that, we would see a $33,000 top on Bitcoin, okay? Therefore, he would have to believe that Bitcoin basically will never reach an all-time high again after 2025. That's what this trend, that's the end result of this trend. And so my point is this, I don't think he believes that. He has a YouTube channel around Bitcoin, he sells courses around Bitcoin, he clearly believes in Bitcoin, okay? So I don't think he's actually pushed this logic further. I think he's taken the logic, taken the parts that make sense, and given you just that data. He hasn't gone further and said, okay, well, this trend clearly isn't sustainable, right? And at some point it will break, and that is completely self-evident. Unless you believe that Bitcoin will die, you have to believe by default that this trend will break eventually. And who's to say it won't break in this next cycle? My point is this, right? My point is this. It could very well happen. But there's no telling as to when this trend will break, and it is a trend that has to break by default for Bitcoin to continue surviving, right? We have had many trends in the past. One of the trends that I look at quite a lot, for example, is, and this is what I'm comparing it to now, right, is this trend on the logarithmic chart. Let me get it up 1 second. This pink trend line on the logarithmic chart, this is a trend that I would compare this trend to. Now, this is something that played out since, similar to his prediction here, since 2011. And yeah, it's not as strong. It's not even nearly as strong, actually. But the point is, we retested for support on 2 or 3 separate occasions, even in 2022. So it's 3 separate occasions. And eventually we lost it. And it's like, well, why did we lose this line? We didn't lose this line because it wasn't a strong trend. It was a strong trend. We lost this line because it's unsustainable. You simply cannot hold a diagonal line on a logarithmic chart forever, right? For example, if we were to go down and hold this line in the next cycle in 2025, that implies that we'd see a bottom on Bitcoin at 186K. Okay, well, what about, and that seems, okay, semi-realistic, but eventually it gets to the point where we're hitting like 35 million per Bitcoin, and that would only be in like 2030, right? The point is, it's unsustainable. It has to break eventually. Regardless of how strong it is, it has to break eventually. And that's exactly what I would say. That's the exact logic I would use for the trend he's identified. Regardless of how strong it is, it has to break eventually. And I'd assume that we're getting very close to the breaking point. Does that mean it will break in the next cycle? No, maybe not. But what I'm saying is, it's not something you can put your life savings on, because we're getting very close, right? The point is, this is the last possible time it could ever work. If you assume Bitcoin will actually survive in the future, this is the last possible time it would ever work. Because if you extrapolate it even one more data point over, all of a sudden you have no new all-time highs on Bitcoin ever again. Okay, my point is, this trend is unsustainable, and that would be my conclusion on that trend. Now, it's a strong trend. It's worth considering. It's worth keeping an eye on 100%. I disagree with the date. It's not going to be May. It would be October, or at least Q4. And I semi-disagree with the trend itself, just because it's unsustainable. But it is worth considering. I can't actually deny the validity of a trend. I can just say it's unsustainable. That's what I'd say about it. So thanks for watching, guys. Cheers. Go to my YouTube channel homepage and click on the join button. You will see a tab that comes up which shows you all the information of the VIP membership with the Wolves of Crypto YouTube channel. What you get in return for 40 AUD a month, which works out to be around 30 USD a month, is 4 exclusive trading setups per week, which have been extremely profitable in the past. Prioritized reply to comments on my end. A trading psychology lecture, which is extremely useful, and some people have actually said that's the most useful video I've ever made. It goes into a deep dive into the actual mechanics, psychologically speaking, around trading. And then also an exclusive Telegram group access link, which has over 200 members currently, and so you can go in there and discuss the market 24/7 at any time of day. We've got members from all around the world in there. So go ahead and sign up to VIP membership using that join button there. Moving forward, we're going to talk about BitGet, and this is the exchange we use on the VIP membership. So this is all the VIP members use this exchange. Now, I actually was using this exchange before I had a partnership with them. I was the one who reached out to this exchange asking for a partnership because I genuinely think it is such an improvement on the major exchanges like Binance and Coinbase. Why do I think that? Well, first and foremost, it's got 0 fees on spot pairs, which is saving you a bunch of money. On top of that, it's got 5 times lower fees than Binance on futures trading. So immediately it establishes itself as an extremely cheap and efficient exchange to use for everyday trading and even investing, honestly, if you're investing with considerable chunks of money. On top of all of this, it holds true to the values of cryptocurrency. And it does that by being non-KYC on your end optionally, which means that essentially, all these other exchanges here, heavily centralized. They require you to put your identity in. They require you to kind of, trespass and encroach on the values of cryptocurrency. BitGet doesn't ask you to do that. You can do it if you want to for tax reasons, but it doesn't ask you to do it. It's not mandatory. You can use this exchange globally, and you don't even need to link your identity to it if you don't want to. Now, that doesn't take away from the safety of this exchange, because this exchange actually has a protection fund, and we'll click on the link here. And essentially, they have deposited 6,000 Bitcoin and 80 million USDT onto this exchange to make sure that in the occurrence that someone loses their money on the exchange via a hack or whatever like that, you can make a request here and you can get that money refunded to you, provided it was not the fault of the exchange. So that's very interesting as well. Not many exchanges have anything like that. So go ahead and sign up to BitGet using my referral link in the description below, and you will additionally gain access to a reward center with over 4,000 USD in rewards. And on top of that, adding to the list here, you also get 10 USD dropped into your account straight away after you make your first trade using my referral link exclusively. So go ahead and do that. You're supporting the channel in doing that as well. It's completely free and it takes 5 minutes. Thanks, guys. And then lastly, we've got the Crypto Academy. Now, this is for people who want to learn how to trade. So if you're interested in learning how to trade, I recommend this course. This is a course developed by myself and Megawell Crypto. If we scroll down at the bottom, you can see Megawell Crypto, big analyst in the space. We work very closely side by side, share a lot of the same ideas. We also challenge each other on some ideas. And so we've got 2 perspectives together in order to form this one course. You can go to the website and read the bio. Essentially, it's 10 units. It's very comprehensive. It's very extensive. And it's going to teach you everything you need to know about trading in a cryptocurrency market. And to be honest, any financial market. It's going to teach you how to learn those charts. It's going to teach you the right mindset. It's going to teach you how to find the trades, etc. You can join us here. Go to the website, scroll down at the bottom, and chuck us an email at cryptoacademycourses@gmail.com, and we'll get back to you with the rest of the information. Thanks for watching, guys. Cheers.